Oh my God. Whoa.
Holy shit.
Dude,
That's a
that
big boy.
redlined the mic.
Yeah.
And this has noise cancellation on it.
That's crazy.
That's like the B2 Palmer, dude. Like,
That's a big boy.
what's your lore?
A lot of my lore actually comes from my family history. Half of my family was from Sicily, where my great-grandfather was very prominent in the Italian mafia. And on the other half of my family, they are from deep South Kentucky. They were prominent KKK members. I'm not proud to say that, but it's family history. And they were moonshiners and fought for the South in the Civil War. So when you mix a Southern Kentucky fried chicken with a Sicilian pasta noodle, you get Hunter Libra.
Do you have any stories from the war or the mafia?
Yeah, unfortunately. I don't have too much to say about my great-grandfather other than my grandfather refused to ever talk about him. Our family last name used to be Libera, and which I just recently found out translates to freedom, which I thought was the coolest thing, to be born and raised an American with that originating as our last name. My grandfather joined the Coast Guard at 18, and the same day he changed our last name to Libra, so he just dropped a letter, so he was not associated because he hated his dad. When his dad was out one day, his mother packed him and his other siblings up and flew across to America seeking asylum. And on my mom's side, there was, the most hick names you could imagine. One of them was Otis, who was a moonshiner and had either his pinky or his thumb shot off during the Civil War. And my mom's great-great-grandfather was a wizard. Something wizard in the KKK. He wasn't like the number one leader, but he was like in today's terms, like a regional manager for the KKK.
Assistant to the regional manager.
Assistant to the regional manager. That's going to go so well with one of my coworkers. We make that was perfect. Assistant to the regional manager
of the KKK. I think ideally I wouldn't mind interviewing the Klan. I feel like I could change them. I guess on a similar note, what's your philosophy?
So my philosophy,
rolling up the sleeves for this one.
I was born and raised Roman Catholic. That is the man, the myth, the legend, Jesus
Christ.
We
were just talking about him.
I was born and raised into a Roman Catholic family. Grew up doing Sunday school, getting confirmation, doing everything. And I never really quite understood how to explain to people that I can accept the title Roman Catholic. However, I kind of look at religion very differently from a traditional Roman Catholic.
Right.
I believe in the story of Jesus Christ, but I've always had those questions about, did this guy really build that big of a boat and he was able to get, a male tiger and a female tiger? And what if there was a pack of tigers, a whole pride of them, and a third one goes to come on? No, two is enough. You have your questions about stuff like that, but I think it's really cool that the most provable existence in all of mankind, more provable than anybody else in ancient history, is Jesus Christ. Of course, that doesn't go in to say that all these miracles did happen and everything, but atheists tell you, yes, his existence did happen. Regardless, I believe in Jesus. I believe in God. I don't know if I believe in everything about you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to go to church. When I want to feel close to God, or if I want to feel close to Jesus, I'm in the woods by myself, letting my mind just wander. And, I do believe that God is in everything all around us, but I believe every single one of us is all part of something so much bigger. To me, when you die, you go to heaven or something similar to heaven, and you get a life review. You get to look at potentially past lives. And I think I always had this idea that, we'll call it heaven. You're in heaven. You could choose to come back to earth and live a specific type of life. Is it Hindus that believe in reincarnation?
I think a lot of I think Buddhists
I
also
was
believe in
gonna
it.
say Buddhist. That's the one that was coming to my mind. I don't want to necessarily say it's reincarnation. Like if you live a bad life, you come back as an ant. You know, I think everybody, you're born into a life, you're faced with these challenges, and the way that you react to these challenges, it's reviewed in the afterlife, and you could decide like, I want to go do that again, or I'm going to hang out in heaven for however long. I don't know. I can't really explain it because I don't necessarily understand it myself, but I do believe that there is an afterlife, and I believe we're all trying to just live some kind of crazy experience.
What's your biggest question?
You know, I started wondering if this is what I chose, what's the big event that drew me towards it, that drew like my consciousness or my spirit towards this life. And I've really actually, to tell you the truth, I feel like I found that out recently after we had my son. I was so scared going into it, but when people tell you that when you have children, it changes your capacity for love, I can't begin to explain. Like, I feel like saying that I love my son is such an understatement. And I genuinely feel like I want to commit the rest of my life to giving him everything and ensuring that he has the happiest life. I don't want to spoil the heck out of him just because I want him to understand you have to earn things in this life. But when I look at him, no matter what happened throughout the day, no matter how emotional I am, whether I'm sad or angry or anything, when he looks at me and just smiles, everything else just washes away. That feeling I get every single time, and he's clingy to me. He's so much more clingy to me than he is his mom until it's bedtime. Then he only wants her. But throughout the day, I mean, that love that I feel from a 1-year-old is, that made me feel like, okay, this is my purpose and I just want to give him everything. But regardless of what you do, their free will is the biggest thing. And you gotta be able to use your free will to make good choices, healthy choices, and just think about those around you.
Make the world a better place.
Make the world a better place.
What do you miss?
I think after moving to Canada is when I realized I started to miss something. Of course, I miss being back home with family. I went to university in another state, so I don't necessarily get homesick, but it's quite a hike away to get to my family. So I certainly miss that, but I think the biggest thing is, you know, my group of friends back home is probably 90%, like this specific friend group, all of my best friends. We're just white hick boys for the most part. And we had such a good time together. Came up here, my wife's friend group, you know, she's closer to the city. It's such a mixed group. And seeing how everybody got along together and still had like their own taste of, you know, heritage into everything. It was really cool. But when you grow up with a group of guys for so long, you really miss that camaraderie. That's what I would miss the most, the camaraderie back home. You know, back home, we would always get together and our parties were around a big bonfire and a lot of alcohol, just too much alcohol everywhere, and throwing sticks that are on fire at each other, doing the dumbest stuff imaginable in the woods, lighting off fireworks, so on and so forth. Up here, a lot of people, you know, and we would do like four-wheeling and stuff like that back home. And up here, they're all more like the city living, but it's a lot of like house parties and stuff like that, and going like to clubs, which I definitely enjoyed. It was a lot of fun, but not necessarily my cup of tea. But being with this group, you know, it's certainly a lot of fun, and I really respect them for that, because they welcomed me in with open arms, and they made me feel like we've been friends for forever. So I don't want to downplay that side of it whatsoever.
I do wish that my school was like majority brown, bro. It was like majority brown, and then like next percentage was probably black, and then like Asian, and then white, dude. There was like 20 white people in my high school, dude. My high school had like 2,500 people. There was a very, very low. It was very, very low white. In my grade, in my grade at all times, like 25 white people maybe.
No kidding, dude. I'm gonna tell you straight up. Where I grew up until 4th grade, it was a very good mix. It was probably like 60-40 white black, and my two best friends, Brandon and Diamond.
That's cool name.
Growing up, yeah, they were black, and then my other best friend, Cody Brown, he was white. Crazy sidetrack, but I found out like 3 years ago that he was actually like
mixed,
pretty heavily autistic.
Oh shit.
I just never noticed that. I always think that's the coolest thing looking back when I was young, and you can like see the markers thinking back on memories and stuff like that. But regardless, I grew up in a decently mixed community, and then when I moved to Pennsylvania, I had 99 kids in my graduating class. I think we had 2 black people.
Whoa.
Everybody else was white.
Well, opposite problem.
Yeah, it was entirely opposite. Like tiny school in comparison.
Yeah.
But
big school, tiny
yeah,
school,
it was a lot
white,
of
basically no white, and I feel like you need a good mix in the middle, right? Do you have any regrets?
I think I have a reoccurring regret where I catch myself being very tense very easily. You know, I have a shorter trigger a lot of the time.
Right.
I used to be, before I moved here, I used to be the guy that you could stab me and, you know, I would give the Canadian apology as an American, like, oh, sorry for running into your knife. But yeah, I used to be that type of guy that you couldn't upset. It would take so much to upset me, and I would always find the good in everything. And I think the stress after moving down here, and especially when we first moved, we were in downtown London, so I was living in the city, which was pretty tough. And I loved Canada. And then moving here, I kind of hated it. So my stress just became through the walls. And it just made me, you know, somebody who's constantly on the edge of the seat, tense. And I catch myself getting very angry very easily. And I point it out to myself in my head. And a lot of the time, you know, it still just wins and takes over me. And I regret it every single time.
What's your overshare?
So anybody that knows me, anybody who's ever met me will tell you I overshare so easily. So my overshare is I was recently diagnosed with ADHD, depression, and anxiety. I went my entire life knowing I had ADHD. It was just kind of that ongoing quote unquote joke we all had. And I would see like symptoms of ADHD and what it looks like. And I'm like, yeah, that's me to a T. I found out when I got diagnosed at 24. I found out when I was diagnosed, my mom told me I was diagnosed when I was a little kid and at 5 or 6 years old. And the doctor gave me, I believe, Adderall. My mom said I was on it for like a couple days, and she decided to take me off because she told me, she's like, you just became a robot. You lost all creativity. You lost all interest. Recently being diagnosed with that, I'm somebody who I won't even take like Advil, ibuprofen, Tylenol, unless absolutely necessary. I'm not against it. I just don't want my body to become accustomed to it. So I never have been big onto medication. And after being told that my ADHD is fairly severe and it does cause a lot of, I don't want to say issues, but I was asked if I would go on medication. I said, okay, I will give it a try. And right now, at the beginning of this interview, I am on what's called Vyvanse.
Oh, Vyvanse.
Which is an amphetamine. And I'll tell you straight up, it is an amphetamine. Because at the beginning of this interview, it started to kick in, and I've been feeling great. So funny enough, it doesn't get me to stop talking. It makes me talk way more. I just don't, even though I sidetrack throughout a lot of this, I don't sidetrack nearly as much. I think taking care of yourself, changing up your diet, and working out, going for walks, I think that's the best kind of medicine that you could give yourself. Just a personal opinion. Everybody's different and everybody has a different experience, but I just don't want to be stuck on a medication that I can't get myself off of and become reliant on it.
What would you say, like, is your personal medicine, I guess, for depression, anxiety, and ADHD? Like, like aside from walking and stuff like that, like what's something that uh, something you go to? Do you journal? Do you meditate? Do you hang out with your son? Or
That's an easy one for me. So hanging with my son is absolutely up there now. But throughout most of my like adult life and teenage years, I've always been, my number one thing had always been the outdoors. You know, hunting and fishing has always been such a important aspect of my life and blended me into who I am today. I would just go to the woods, and whether if I wasn't hunting, if it was in the middle of summer, nothing to hunt, I would either just be working on the habitat, or I would just go out there and sit in a tree and watch nature and experience nature. And the sights and sounds that you get from being, you know, waking up 3 hours before the sunrise and getting into your tree stand an hour before the sun rises and watching the world come to life, you know, just all the sights, all the sounds, and the way that nature responds to everything so differently every single day. And you know, I've sat in a tree from before sun up to after sundown, watching, you know, the most beautiful creation just do its thing. That's therapy. That's the most therapeutic thing that you could do for yourself.
It's just beautiful. Like, I love sunrises. I think sunrises give me such comfort, and I think sunsets, they're beautiful, but they make me like feel so empty. It's like I want nothing more than to chase the sun. But the sunrise on a Monday is the exact opposite. I don't know. It's because like now it's like everyone's going out. The week started, like it's game time for everyone, right? People are buzzing around, and it's a sense of comfort. It's like, you know, people are everywhere around you, and it makes you feel not alone. And I don't know, sunrises are like the best thing ever. I think if I were to die, I want to die at like 7 a.m. or something on a
I think that was
summer day.
That was the best argument I've ever heard for a sunrise, because I've always been the opposite.
Really?
Well, not the opposite entirely. I appreciate sunrises, but I've always loved sunsets more than anything. Coming from Erie, Pennsylvania, we were always one of the highest rated places in the world for sunsets on Presque Isle on Lake Erie. I would go down and watch a sunset every day because of the colors. But simultaneously, on a you know, more of a spiritual aspect, the sunrise also reminds you that, you know, you could have just had the worst day of your life, but that sun going down is just a reminder that it was just that day, and that day does have to come to an end. And a beautiful sunset that can turn almost any day around.
I love the mornings. I think like a day, like a rainy like afternoon on like a Thursday would be the worst day to die. You know what I mean? Like,
That's a fact.
I'm like, oh, like I was born at like really early in the morning too. I think I want to go out in the morning, like a nice, like crisp October morning, dude.
We're
God, if you're
talking.
listening to this, like take me then, dude. Do you enjoy this life?
I do enjoy this life tremendously. And sometimes I have to remind myself how blessed I am, especially after you get into those days where, you know, it's cruddy weather, you don't get out, you don't do anything, you're just a couch potato all day, and puts you in a headspace. But you got to remind yourself, like, how blessed am I to be under a roof when all this rain is coming down. And, you know, especially now with my son crawling around, he's about to start walking. I mean, what is there to not enjoy about that? It's just, prior to him, I felt, you know, I've been so blessed to have the wife that I have, but, you know, prior to having a son, you get a lot of those days where you feel like you're just going through the motions. But it's a lot easier now to realize, you know, how blessed I am and everything that we have, especially with our son. It's incredible.
What's your favorite part about life, would you say?
Laughter.
Laughter.
I love laughter. I love happiness, man.
What about it?
Just the purity of it. You can't fake real laughter. That's probably a lie, but
That was a real laugh.
yeah. Imagine,
Or like, would you say joy?
yeah, that's probably a better way to put it. Just genuine happiness. I think feeling such pure, genuine happiness it's unfathomable. And the more that you could feel that, the more you realize, no matter what situation that you are finding yourself in, you get through it.
Do you want to end us off with any words
if you're into women, find yourself a beautiful, wonderful woman. If you're into guys, if you're into anything else, just find whatever you're looking for, somebody that you can enjoy life with, and take life by the balls. Just go for it. Have that baby. That's my number one piece of advice. Have that baby. It's the biggest blessing, but try to find somebody in this life that you can experience life with. You get to experience their life. They get to experience your life, and you just get a whole different set of experiences all together with each other. You'll find them. You'll know who they are as soon as you do find them, and just go after it.